Hello and welcome to this edition of Money in Motion video blog. This is Dan Perkins. Today I want to talk about the subject that everybody else is talking about, and that's called the fiscal cliff. This is a series of events that are going to take place unless the Congress and the President act, primarily the Congress, by 12/31/2012, or about 6 weeks from now. But you need to have a little bit of background and understanding what was going on that created the fiscal cliff. In the summer of 2011, you may recall that we were in a crisis that we needed to have the debt ceiling raised. And so the compromise was, on the part of the Republicans and the Democrat and the President, to establish a 12-member panel whose job was to figure out ways in which we could cut the deficit and cut the budget to begin to deal with our significant amount of debt. They put in a provision that if this panel could not come up with solutions, then automatically on 12/31/2012, certain things were going to happen. Some of those certain things that were going to happen were, one, the Bush-era tax rates would expire for all taxpayers, and number two, the government had to cut $600 billion out of its deficit. Now that's about 20%. In addition to that, after that debt ceiling situation, we had the Congress extend unemployment benefits up to 99 weeks, and that has an expiration of 12/31, and a reduction in the payroll tax paid by employers and employees, and that has an expiration of 12/31. Then on January 1st, we have the new Obamacare income taxes that come into play. Now, the day after the president was elected, he went to the American public and he said he wanted the Congress to give him immediately the maintaining of the Bush-level tax rates for individuals under $200,000 and households under $250,000. And then he would begin discussions about how to reduce the deficit. He wanted to take the $600 billion of mandatory cuts off the table. I hope that the Republicans will not fall for this trap, because pay me now and I'll give you something later. It's like the old cartoon character Wimpy, who wanted a hamburger, and he says, if you give me a hamburger today, I'll gladly pay you next Tuesday. I don't think the president has any intentions of cutting the budget. So what we have is this all convergence of all of these situations happening at the end of December of this year. There are some people who feel that if the Congress doesn't solve this fiscal cliff issue, that we could see a significant decline in gross national product, possibly even a recession. Unemployment could go back to 9.5% to 10%, and it would not be a very happy time in America. There are others, which I'm in that camp, who feel that while it's going to be painful, if we go over the cliff and everybody has an increase in taxes and everybody shares the burden, and we have budget cuts, and we start paying back the payroll taxes, which will help Social Security and the Medicare supplement program, and if we make budget cuts in defense and entitlement programs, we can begin the process of mending the balance sheet of the United States. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think there are an awful lot of people who want to continue to kick the can down the road. It's interesting, I saw a report that a newborn baby, the day the president was reelected, was born with an IOU in his diaper of $216,000 at the current level of $16 trillion of debt. And if it goes up, then we're going to see even more IOUs for the next generation and the generation after that. So I think it's going to be a very contentious time in Washington, and maybe a very challenging time in the markets. We've clearly seen, since the president was reelected, the market has been going down almost every day. I want to share with you a chart that I found that's kind of interesting, and it shows the value of the S&P 500 on the first day of George Bush's election, and shows the value of the S&P 500 on the day President Obama was reelected for his second term. And you can see from the chart it's virtually unchanged. So for the last 12 years, if you've been invested in the S&P 500, On an index basis, you probably have seen zero return. There may have been some dividends, but over that period of time, your total return has been close to zero. On the other hand, if you've been a client of mine for the last 12 years with an income strategy, if your assets would have stayed about the same, given an easily comfortable 6% or higher return each year for the last 12 years, you would have received 72% in income in that 12 years. So your total return would have been about 72%, considerably higher than zero. So the philosophy has proved itself over the last 12 years of being paid while you wait is an excellent philosophy. And those of you who are my clients who are watching this video know how well it's worked for you. So volatile times ahead, a lot of indecision, a lot of scary times, especially around the holidays. So be careful, pay attention to what's going on in Washington and the markets. And if you have questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. And by the same token, if you have friends who are really nervous about what's been going on and are looking for alternative strategies, consider giving them my name and number, and I'd be happy to talk with them. Thanks for watching. This is Dan Perkins.